Coach Drew again, right? The Creators Table, and this is the month of November, so we're talking about mental health when it comes to men. Something that I always struggle with is, what does this look like for men? Like, do men go around looking sad, looking depressed, or looking away? Usually not. Usually they look the same. Usually they function the same. So then what is really off at that time? A lot of times it's how they're viewing themselves. So I'm just going to speak from my experience around the time when COVID happened, right? They shut down gyms, and if you don't know me, I am a fitness instructor amongst other things, but that's my main way I make money. And they shut down all the gyms. So as soon as they shut down all the gyms, I noticed something has to change immediately. I have my daughters, I have my wife, I have my business, my clients, myself. I have to support a lot. And it sent me like almost like in a spiral where like one day I was happy, one day I wasn't, and it just kept feeling like this a lot. Now, if you saw from afar when the pandemic happened, when COVID happened and they shut down all the gyms, I built a garage gym. Like I have no experience with tools or any of that stuff, but I built a garage gym. And that garage gym was great. It served people. We boxed in there, we lifted in there, we competed from there. We did a lot of things in there. There's a lot of healing that happened for other people. But for me, it made me feel I was defeated a lot. And it made me feel that I was failing my family because my mind started going towards, I gotta make this work in order to feed my family. And at the same time, if it doesn't work, I'm a failure. And all of these thoughts were happening in my mind, and at that time I had no one to voice it to. Could I have voiced it to my wife or like my parents or something like that? Yeah, but I didn't know what was happening. So a lot of times when you look at men, they don't know like this mental health battle is happening. They're just thinking this is what's going on because what's happening around me. So don't look for like physical signs only. Just check in. There's a quote that it's always said is check in with your strong friends. I believe it. I believe it so much, and it's usually never done because we don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers to ask them, how are you really emotionally? How are you really spiritually? How are you really physically? Because we've lost track of real relationships, and we've lost track of having real dialogue. And I think we got to get back to that, especially when it comes to men in the month of November. Because like I said before, the suicide rate is high. And we don't need to see another man die or kill himself just because he's not being heard. Because sometimes someone's ear can be a lot of healing. And a lot of times just knowing that you're not alone can do wonders. I actually started therapy during the pandemic. And I started therapy in a car because my therapist was, they got shut down too. So they were doing virtual therapy. And it was one of the best decisions outside of like prayer and workout. It was one of the best decisions of my life because voicing what I felt, I was able to know something was happening that I didn't have language for, and I gained language for. So take this vlog and think, who could I reach out to that's close to me that may need an ear, may need to know they're not alone, and who could I do that for this week? Doesn't mean you need to become a therapist, doesn't mean you need to take on their problems, but sometimes, as I always say, your ear can be healing for somebody else. Take care, guys.